2 minutes ago, the internet was on fire for a reason that feels almost too wild to be real. Caitlin Clark, the biggest new force in women's basketball, supposedly had a huge Europe deal sitting right in front of her, and still said no. Not because the money wasn't real enough, not because the lifestyle wasn't tempting enough, but because something else showed up at the exact wrong, or perfect, time. Team USA finally called. And if you think this is just another off-season headline, it's not. This moment is basically the sport holding its breath. Because the choice isn't really Europe versus America. The choice is what kind of career Caitlin wants to build, and who she's about to become in the next 2 years. A global mercenary chasing the biggest bag available, or the face of a new era that's about to collide with the old guard. Here's why that's such a big deal. Every WNBA offseason has a pattern. The season ends, players rest for like 10 seconds, and then the overseas offers start rolling in. For a lot of stars, Europe isn't some luxury detour. It's how you make your real money. You go overseas and suddenly your salary doubles, sometimes triples. The travel is smoother. The perks are ridiculous. The cities are glamorous. Clubs treat you like royalty because they don't just want your talent. They want your name to sell tickets, to build hype, to put their league on the map. So when whispers started spreading that Europe was lining up a massive offer for Caitlin Clark, nobody was shocked. People were more like, yeah, of course they are. She's a walking sold-out arena. She's a global highlight reel. She's the kind of player who makes casual fans suddenly act like lifelong basketball historians. Even if a deal wasn't officially announced, the idea of Europe chasing her was completely believable. If you're the biggest magnet in the sport, the world comes looking for you. But that rumor hit harder than most because it touched a nerve that women's basketball has been carrying for years. The nerve is simple. Why does the biggest league in the world still lose stars to overseas money? Why do so many players feel forced to live 2 careers at once? Why is going to Europe still part of the normal financial plan for WNBA athletes? That's the uncomfortable background behind the Caitlin story. Because for most players, an overseas bag isn't greedy. It's survival. The WNBA has grown, the attention has exploded, the crowds are bigger, the broadcast deals are improving. And still, the pay gap between home and overseas remains big enough to change lives. That gap is why Europe stays powerful. If a player gets an offer that dwarfs their WNBA salary, the smart move is supposed to be yes. It's supposed to be automatic. So the internet looked at Caitlin and assumed she'd do what everyone else does. Take the biggest offer. Stack the money. Build the global brand. Live the superstar lifestyle. And if she ever did go overseas, no one would blame her. But Caitlin Clark isn't playing by the same rules as everyone else. Here's the part people forget in the middle of all the rumors. Caitlin is one of the rare athletes whose money doesn't come mainly from her WNBA paycheck. Her financial world is already bigger than that. Endorsements, partnerships, signature deals, cultural value. She stepped into the league with a spotlight that most players spend their whole careers trying to earn. That changes the meaning of any Europe decision instantly. For a normal all-star, going overseas might be the difference between security and stress. For Caitlin, it's not survival. It's strategy. Optional doesn't mean unimportant, but it means the choice isn't being forced by fear. That's why the rumor of her rejecting a Europe deal feels so dramatic. It suggests she's choosing based on something other than money. And honestly, even if she never signed anything, the fact that Europe rumors swirled around her at all still matters. Because those rumors are a symptom of something bigger happening in the sport right now. The WNBA is in a moment where players are openly pushing for more financial respect. Alternative leagues are appearing and talking loud. Europe is still dangling life-changing contracts. And every single time a star gets linked to a foreign deal, it's basically a reminder that women's basketball is still fighting for the value it already generates. So even if Europe was just talk, it was meaningful talk. It was pressure. It was the ecosystem reminding the WNBA. If you don't evolve fast enough, the world will offer your stars another path. That's the storm in the background. And it's why the timing of what happened next is so important. Because right when the Europe noise was peaking, Team USA stepped in. Caitlin Clark was officially named to the USA Basketball Women's Senior National Team Training Camp roster in December 2025. That's her first senior camp invite. And if you've been following her story even casually, you know why that feels like a turning point. Last year, when the Paris Olympics roster got announced, Caitlin's name wasn't on it. That was the headline that split the sport in half. Half the world said, "You can't leave the biggest rookie star off the Olympic team." The other half said, "The national team isn't a popularity contest. You earn it." It became this massive debate about tradition versus momentum, veteran loyalty versus new era dominance. And through all of that, Caitlin said the right things. She handled it with calm, with respect, with patience. But you could feel the tension. Because no matter how diplomatic people were, the truth was obvious. She wanted that jersey. She wanted that stage. She wanted to be part of that legacy. So this December camp invite is more than a nice honor. It's Team USA opening the door in a new evaluation cycle. It's them saying, "All right, come in. Show us what you look like in our system. Prove it in the gym." And for Caitlin, the value of that invitation is bigger than any overseas luxury package could be. Because Team USA isn't just basketball. Team USA is status. It's a seal that you've moved from being a star to being part of the sport's highest machinery. It's how legends get carved into history. But there's another reason it changes everything. Team USA is not a friendly environment for someone walking in with hype. It's the most elite, most competitive, most politically layered roster in women's basketball. Those spots are guarded like treasure. The culture of Team USA has always been built on hierarchy. There's respect for veterans. There's trust in the system. There's an unspoken rule that you don't walk in acting like your Instagram followers bought you a spot. You walk in ready to compete, ready to learn, ready to earn. That's the pressure Caitlin is stepping into now. Because this camp isn't about taking pictures in a USA jersey. It's about surviving 3 days in a gym with the best players alive, many of them champions in this program, many of them coming for the 2026 World Cup, all of them trying to protect their place. So if Caitlin dominates, if she looks like she belongs immediately, it speeds up the generational shift in a way the old guard can't ignore. And if she struggles, even slightly, even in a way that's totally normal for a first-time invitee, the critics will pounce. They'll say the snub last year was correct. They'll say hype isn't a substitute for experience. They'll say not yet. That's why this invite is so big and so risky at the same time. Europe would have been controlled. She'd walk into a club built around her. She'd be the centerpiece day one. The pressure would be loud but familiar. Fans, lights, big games. Team USA is a different kind of pressure. It's quiet, sharp, and personal. Every rep is an audition. Every possession is filmed by people who don't care what you did in college or how many tickets you sell. No freebies, no shortcuts. So when people say, "Why would she turn down a Europe deal for this?" The answer is simple. Because this is how you build a legacy that outlives money. Think about what she gains if she commits to the national team track. First, global legitimacy. Caitlin is already famous, but fame is not the same as crown-level authority in basketball. Team USA is the crown. If she becomes part of that core, the conversation about her shifts instantly. She's no longer just the rookie taking over the WNBA. She's the player who represents the country on the biggest stage. That carries weight everywhere. Second, it upgrades her game in ways no regular offseason can. Camp is a lab. It forces you to adapt faster, read the game sharper, deal with higher physicality, and fit into a system built for championships. It's not about getting shots. It's about learning how to win with killers around you. Third, and this is the part nobody says loud enough, it upgrades her power. Because the WNBA is moving toward a financial battle. The players are pushing. The league is negotiating. Public pressure is rising. Alternative leagues are sniffing opportunity. And the sport is growing so fast that the old economics can't keep up. If Caitlin becomes a major Team USA piece by 2026, she enters a different category of athlete. Not just a league star, but a national pillar. A player whose voice hits harder in every conversation about the future of women's basketball. A player the WNBA can't treat like a rookie product anymore. A player who becomes, whether she wants it or not, a symbol of what the sport is worth. And when you think of it like that, Europe starts to look like a detour. Not because Europe isn't valuable. It is. Not because the money isn't tempting. It always is. But because the national team track is a different kind of opportunity. One you don't get forever. Europe will still be there next offseason. Team USA windows don't wait for you. So Caitlin picking this moment makes sense. Even if the Europe deal was massive, this camp offers something money can't replicate. A shot at becoming part of a dynasty. But of course, not everyone is cheering. Some fans are celebrating like this is a coronation, like it's Team USA finally admitting the future has arrived. They're already imagining her throwing lasers to the corners in a gold medal game, already imagining her breaking the next record, already imagining her face as the global icon of women's basketball. Other fans are more suspicious. They look at the Europe rumor and roll their eyes. They assume it was inflated, or exaggerated, or built for clicks. They say she never seriously planned to go. They say it was always a storyline waiting for a slow news week. And then there are players and longtime followers who are watching this through an almost painful lens. Because here's the truth behind the truth. Caitlin can afford to stay. Most players can't. So when people frame her decision as loyalty, it lands differently depending on where you stand. To fans, it feels inspiring. The hometown hero who keeps her roots. The star who doesn't chase the biggest foreign bag just because she can. But to players who grind every offseason overseas to make their careers financially whole, it highlights how uneven the system still is. It raises the question they've been asking forever. If the league is exploding in attention, why isn't every player benefiting equally? Why does the overseas path remain necessary? That tension isn't Caitlin's fault, but her story drags it into the spotlight anyway. Because when the biggest name in the sport makes a choice, the whole sport gets pulled into the meaning of that choice. And that's why this moment feels larger than a single invite or a single rumor. This feels like a fork in the road for women's basketball itself. If Caitlin walks into camp and proves she belongs right now, Team USA shifts. The old hierarchy gets challenged. The next World Cup cycle tilts. The global attention on the WNBA gets stronger. The pressure on league economics gets louder. The players' leverage grows. The sport speeds up. If she walks in and struggles, even a little, the debate changes in the opposite direction. The veterans get validated. The system tightens. The critics get fed. And Caitlin is forced to fight a longer, slower climb into the national team core. Either way, the decision to prioritize Team USA over any overseas temptation wasn't random. It wasn't emotional noise. It was a strategic bet on the biggest stage. So when you boil everything down, the story isn't did she cancel Europe? The story is, Team USA, called at the exact time Caitlin Clark, is ready to stop being a phenomenon and start being a fixture of history. Europe might have offered her luxury. Team USA offers her immortality. Now the only thing left is to see what happens when she steps onto that floor, surrounded by champions, with nothing but reps to speak for her. Because if she passes this test, it won't just confirm she's the future. It will confirm she's already here. And once that's true, women's basketball won't be able to move at yesterday's pace anymore. Not the WNBA, not Team USA, not Europe, not anyone. The whole sport will be forced to adjust to her timeline. And that's what makes this moment feel so electric. Not because a Europe deal might have disappeared, but because a different door just opened and Caitlin Clark finally walked through it.